All right, today is Friday, May 25, 2018. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes CSI implementation group. We're going to go through the agenda. If you have anything to discuss, feel free to add it to the agenda and we'll try and cover it. First up, we're going to go over PRs that need attention. The first couple here, I think Luis was helping review them. He's was out sick this week, so hopefully he get a chance next week to take a look at those. And then this is also an outstanding item from last quarter, nothing new here. And return attach error to attach detach controller. Looks like this has been merged. Let's take a look at that just to double check. Yep. So this should be part of 111, the next release. We can go ahead and stop tracking these. There's an outstanding item for adding CSI volume struct to volume in pod spec. Does anybody know what this item is about?
Yeah, sorry, I should have put my name next to that. Yeah, I was talking to somebody in over SIG storage, and they're trying to do what's called the image driver for CSI, which is like a read-only mountable volume that has a bunch of RPMs and things like that in it. So it's like mounting a CD-ROM.
Yep.
So one of the things that he had was like he wanted to be able to have users specifically attach those images. So the way to do that was through the pod spec has the ability to define what storage system, but we don't have CSI pointer in pod spec. We only have it in dynamic provisioning. So that's something that we wanted to see.
Sorry, could you clarify that? What does pod spec have and what does he need?
So the pod spec, the struct pod spec has a volume array of volumes, and in it, it has, we have like NFS and host path and all the other storage drivers except for CSI. The CSI volume handle struct is in the other one, the one for dynamic provisioning, if I'm correct.
Yes. So there's the persistent volume source.
Yes, that one.
And that was a purposeful decision.
Okay.
The idea there was that with CSI, we wanted to force folks to go through the persistent volume interface rather than directly inline, because inline volumes have a ton of issues that we didn't want to deal with.
Okay.
Is there anything in particular that he can't work around because of this?
It's something we we can take offline, but I would discuss with him. But
okay.
I found that this would have provided a solution for his problem, but our discussion is on SIG storage. I just have to go back and read it again.
Okay.
If you follow up with that, if you follow up in a meeting with that, could you add me as well?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. Next up are bugs that we're tracking. We have CSI end-to-end tests were occasionally flaky. Huge thanks to Luis for basically moving the CSI tests to a good state. Let's take a look at them. Yep, they've been moved over to the, oh man, looks like we had a flake, but that looked like an environment issue, so that's good. I think we can stop tracking this now. So it looks like it's all green. Thanks for that, Luis.
Yeah, it was a team effort.
Definitely. All right, so basically two big outstanding bugs are around how errors are handled for external provisioner and attacher. For external provisioner, the problem was around basically calling delete immediately after a timeout and then retrying, which basically is a bad thing to do. You should keep retrying until you give up and then delete. So it looks like Shabeik Shah, you were going to work on this with Sergey. Any progress on this?
Yeah, so I synced up on this with Sergey, and we basically are trying to follow up with the person who reported this issue to figure out if it has been fixed or not, and we are still awaiting a reply from their side.
Perfect. All right, thank you for that. And then the second part of this is attacher timeouts, which we don't have a volunteer for yet, so we'll keep that
I have
on.
picked this up as well. I'm working
Perfect.
with that to fix this, yeah.
Cool. That is awesome. Thank you. I imagine you haven't had a chance to look at this one in depth yet.
Which one?
Do you have an update on the attacher timeouts?
Yeah, I have opened a PR. So like the initial PR is out, but we need to sync up on testing.
Perfect. Okay. Mark that as orange as well. And then maybe Jan can take a look at that PR and help review it.
Sure.
Cool. All right, next up, this was from last time. We had a special meeting to discuss what to do with driver registrar. We decided we were going to punt on the driver registrar changes until the plugin changes got in, so no updates on that this time. So next up, we can just do a quick rundown of the tasks that we're working on for this quarter and get a quick status update. Sidecar containers is green, block volume support to alpha. Vlad's still working on this. So good news is that code freeze got moved out by 1 week. Instead of this Monday, it's going to be the following Monday. So that gives us a little bit more breathing room. We're still pretty tight, but it gives us a little bit more breathing room. So I know for block volume, there is a PR refactoring the Kubernetes code that the block volume folks from Aaron Boyd's team were looking at. And Vlad's addressing feedback on that. Once that merges, he has another follow-up PR that'll wire up CSI with block. Then topology support for CSI. I had a meeting with G and James, who had the biggest outstanding concerns about what topology and CSI should look like, whether it should be a flat hierarchy or whether it should be a rich detailed map. They were suggesting very strongly that they wanted just a simple string to be able to represent topology. I wanted a richer map because in Kubernetes, we have everything that we have around label selection, affinity, node affinity is based on Kubernetes labels on pods and volumes and things like that. And those are always key value labels. And if we have just a flat string, we're not going to be able to generate any meaningful keys and values off of that. So I wanted a richer syntax for that. Luckily, they've agreed to go forward with the richer syntax. So I am planning to update that PR and hopefully get approval for that soon. And then we're planning on cutting 0.3 of CSI this coming week. So that's on track. Cubelet device plugin.
Just one thing.
Sure.
If you're cutting 0.3 for CSI, that means that we should have a new task to make sure P0 for our drivers, for our CSI test to support 0.3.
Yes.
So
we can do that as soon as 0.3 is cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Nice thing is that changes between 0.2 to 0.3 shouldn't be backwards compatible. Should be backwards compatible from 0.2 to 0.3. So we don't have an immediate need to like go in and rush to fix every single driver. We can kind of take our time and make sure we do it right. But yes, everything should be updated to snap to 0.3.
Does that mean we also need to snap all our sidecar containers accordingly?
Yep. We'll have to, it's always, it works out from the spec itself. So the spec gets updated, then we have to update our sidecars, we have to update our drivers, we have to update Cubelet core.
Okay. All right. So we just go through a normal release cycle.
Absolutely. The kubelet changes are the ones that we need to front load. I don't think that, I think the only dependencies we have are like resize and forget what the other one was. Oh, the attachment count limit, and resizes and making it attachment count is currently in the works. So I think we should be okay there. Next task is Cubelet device plugin integration. Sergey, Louis, Vlad, and I synced up on this yesterday. And the one big feedback that we had was, instead of having a single socket that is used for registration and then for subsequent communication between Cubelet and the driver, it would be nice if the proposal allowed for multiple Unix domain sockets, one that was used for registration and one that's used for subsequent communication. The reason for this is that it would make the transition over to this registration much easier. The existing plugins today, the driver itself drops a Unix domain socket onto the host machine, and the sidecar driver registrar container doesn't do any communication with the kubelet directly. So if we were allowed 2 Unix domain sockets, the existing driver wouldn't need to change anything. It would still drop a Unix domain socket onto the host. And then the driver registrar could be updated to also drop a Unix domain socket in a specific location on the host. And then the driver registrar would know what the path to the second Unix domain socket is and return that as part of registration. It would make that transition a little bit easier for CSI. So Vlad suggested that as a feedback on that PR. If we can get that in, that would be great. If we're unable to get it in, we can still go with the original plan, which is make the driver registrar sidecar container act as a proxy. So there would be a single Unix domain socket that's dropped by the sidecar container, and then everything is proxied through the driver registrar sidecar container into the driver as needed. So that work is outstanding. Once that PR merges, we need one more PR on top of that to plug into CSI, which is in tree. So this has to be in tree as well. Next up is pulling the drivers. Sorry, go ahead, Sergey.
Just a quick note. There was some development with that PR,
Okay.
so we got a little bit of pushback,
Okay.
and Vlad provided a bit more reasoning.
Okay.
So now the PR owner is kind of solicits other people' opinions. So I mean, if you could chime in the thread, that would be great.
Yep, I will do that. Thanks for letting me know.
Basically, they're coming back saying, "Hey, why don't you extend the CSI spec and add an extra call?" And we're telling him, "Listen, it's industry standard. It's not that easy than changing something which is not even implemented yet." You know.
Yep. That's completely valid. I'll take a look at it after this call and see if I can add some comments on it. All right, thanks for that, Sergey. Next up is pulling the driver registrar, labeling logic into Cubelet. We decided that we're going to delay this 1 quarter because it has a dependency on the plugin registration, and anything else that we do is going to be super hacky. Finding a permanent home for unowned important drivers. I think this is outstanding work that
Actually, I'm going to work on that next week. It's going to change.
Perfect. All right, sounds good to me. Next up is the entry volume plugin migration plan. So the last status here was that I think David was working on a prototype to verify some of his assumptions. David, do you have any updates here?
No, not really. Just still prototyping.
Cool.
I'm gonna spend today making the design doc into a community repo pull request thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, David. How do credentials get passed to subsequent publish calls has already been resolved. Flex volume adapter needs to be updated to 0.2. So I think there's an update here. Sergey worked on this. So that's cool. That means they're 0.2 compatible. Shubeik, did you get a chance to test it and see if it actually does work end to end?
Yeah, I've been looking into this. So I spoke to Sergey about this, and they said that flex volume can be tested without a cluster, but I think for iSCSI, I'll need a cluster, and I'm having some trouble setting up a local cluster because I'm on a Mac.
Okay. So then maybe you can hand off the testing of iSCSI to somebody else, and you can complete the testing for flex volume.
Cool.
Need volunteer for testing. This is pretty minor. If anybody has bandwidth on it, feel free to help volunteer with this. And then it sounds like Shubeik, you're gonna follow up with testing here. Okay. Liveness probe repo release branch and versioning it if needed. This is a P2. I don't expect any progress here yet. CSI spec and snapshots, that's merged. So we're good there. Excuse me. CSI driver for AWS. Jan, any updates on this?
Not really. We haven't even started.
Okay. I imagine this will just be work for next quarter then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely.
Cool. I'll go ahead and just scratch that, and then we can start it next quarter as a task. Dynamic maximum volume count. So this is the CSI for this went in, the CSI spec changes. Hamath has a PR out making the Kubernetes changes. Apparently there's some pushback from Jordan Liggett about the current design. So we're meeting up at 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon Pacific time to discuss those concerns and hopefully get those resolved. I'm hoping that they're minor enough that we can address them in the Kubernetes side. If his concerns are very broad and it might require rolling back the changes on the CSI side, which would be pretty painful, but still possible because we haven't cut 0.3 yet. So I'll follow up with him and see what his concerns are. And then the rest of these are P3s. In fact, this ephemeral volume is actually work that's being done right now by the person writing this sidecar container for images that Luis is working with. So I'm actually happy that work is going on because it helps us verify whether ephemeral volumes are going to work or not. Cool. Design, can we get rid of, those we don't need to worry about this quarter. That's pretty much it. Any other questions, concerns, comments, anything you want to raise?
Yeah, just a quick thing. I think for next quarter, we're trying to see if we can get more volunteers for reviews and release management, things like that. The stuff I do pretty much, because I kind of had to multiply for the number of repos that I have.
Yep.
We have a lot of people helping out in the Kubernetes side, but in the Cycle containers, we need a little more help.
Yeah, I think what'll help is if we can get owners for each one of the repos, and those owners are responsible for basically doing their own releases and things like that. So that way, it's not all you doing that work.
And Luis, feel free to assign me on the sidecar containers. I'm not following them super closely, but if you assign me and like ping me or something, I probably have time to take a look.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. And Sergey, you're around, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
So you and I could talk about liveness probe too and things like that offline.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure.
So we can talk about that next week.
Sounds good.
Cool. I think this quarter I made a mistake of not balancing the work very well. That's completely on me. So next quarter I am going to try and improve that and make sure that a handful of people aren't doing most of the work. We have a lot of people in this group who are interested and willing to help. I just want to make sure that I'll try and do a better job next time on that. All right.
I think we should do that. Actually, that reminds me, we should do a kind of a retrospective of what we've done, because we haven't had the chance. We've been going so fast since we haven't looked back and said what has worked and what can we make better.
Yep.
So
I like that idea.
Yeah, we should just spend one meeting just looking back and say what can make things look better and make things more efficient.
Yeah.
So.
Feel free to set that up maybe around the time we are more stable with 0.3.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that's all we need to do. We just need to be more efficient.
Yeah. All right. So next meeting is going to be on Wednesday. Again, code freeze has been pushed out by a week, so we're very lucky for that. Let's use that time efficiently and trying to finish some of these features, that at least the ones that are going to be blocking other features. And then we'll sync up on Wednesday. Thank you for your time.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.